So it's no secret that Star Wars under Disney Lucasfilm has been having a lot of issues creatively, particularly with the film side of things. There's always seems to be chaos behind the development, like every stage of the development process for every single film. And it's kind of a shame because that's where this IP started. And if you can't get the film side of things right, it really just bleeds into all of the other multimedia mediums for this franchise, for an IP. So, okay, the Rey movie, Stephen Knight, who was actually a new writer that they had brought in to replace Damon Lindelof, has now left the project as lead writer. They've lost their screenwriter now. He's moving on with other things. And he was the one brought in too as a replacement himself. It's insane. All of the production issues that have plagued the film side of Lucasfilm. And so obviously this is delayed indefinitely at the moment until they can get a replacement writer. That's a significant blow. And I think this movie in particular was rumored to release in December 2026, which is the date that is being held currently for Denis Villeneuve's event film, rumored to be Dune Messiah, his Dune Messiah adaptation. So it was rumored to come out that same month as Dune Messiah. And even then, they maybe would have to move it. Star Wars these days going up against Dune, I don't know if they want to risk that. And particularly with a film that I just don't think there was much demand for to begin with. Rey has had a whole trilogy dedicated to her story, and it pretty much wrapped up with Rise of Skywalker. So this is an article from Variety covering this. And it says, there is another disturbance in the Force. Screenwriter Stephen Knight has departed the Star Wars movie set to follow Daisy Ridley's Rey after the events of 2019's Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. In March of 2023, Variety exclusively reported that Knight had signed on to the project, replacing original screenwriters Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson. Lucasfilm is actively talking with potential writers to take on the story, which has been said to chronicle Rey's efforts to start a new Jedi Academy, but the delay likely means production won't start until well into 2025 at least. Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy is still attached to direct the film, which would be her feature debut. She previously directed episodes of the Disney Plus series Ms. Marvel, after twice winning the Oscar for Best Documentary Short Film. Would any serious and talented, well-established writers even want to be involved with Disney Lucasfilm at this point? I just don't think they're able to work with these creators anymore, these well-established, talented creators. I think they just don't want to deal with the headaches of it. I don't know how much time Stephen Knight devoted to taking the reins from Damon Lindelof and producing an entirely new concept and script, and apparently, according to rumors, had to deal with numerous notes from Kathleen Kennedy or just, the whole upper Lucasfilm people, a ton of creative notes for that, to where he basically had to rewrite the script again. And with his Peaky Blinders movie moving ahead full steam, very well organized production, he had to move on to that, which is, I think, currently filming or has just recently wrapped filming. Star Wars under Disney and KK is anti-fan and a complete mess. They can't get it right from a production or story standpoint because they refuse to. And I remember The Hollywood Reporter just recently came out with this exhaustive analysis of Disney Lucasfilm's project with the headline, "Is Disney Bad at Star Wars?" Is very interesting article, but at the very end of this exhaustive list of their failures and moderate wins, they had concluded, well, on balance, no. After all of the things they just listed as to why all of these projects are failing, the most high-profile projects. Okay, the animated side of things is good with critics, and we've had a couple of good seasons of Mandalorian and Andor. But in comparison, there has been, if we're talking about on balance here between what's good and bad, is definitely lopsided to the failures of Disney Lucasfilm. There has been way more high-profile obstacles and challenges behind the scenes to pretty much every film. And even the ones that are liked, Rogue One had numerous production issues. They swapped directors, I think, midway during filming, and you can tell in the finished product. It's really unfortunate because I think it could have been better than it is. You can tell that there was some editing and some production issues behind the scenes because you get that sense that there was some issues there. Some of the story elements don't really flow that well, and you can tell there was problems. And this is ridiculous too. I think at Star Wars Celebration is when they announced this movie. the Rey movie. It was this and the Dawn of the Jedi movie. I think that was a working title from James Mangold, and another Dave Filoni movie. It's not the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. It was a separate one that he was doing. I think it was New Republic era, I think is what they were calling it. But then after that, several months later, was it? The Mandalorian and Grogu movie gets announced. They just kind of put that out there in the press. And this is Jon Favreau's project that he's spearheading. But it really just seems like it's a repurposed season 4 of Mandalorian. Like they already had these materials in development. And so it very much feels like, well, we already have this stuff. We're getting bogged down, or we're locked in like development hell when it comes to the other films. So let's just push this ahead and try not to embarrass ourselves. We need to get a film out because there hasn't been a film since Rise of Skywalker, which was universally panned. Both critics and audiences hated it. It is the worst, I think. I think Last Jedi does more damage, I think, to the brand. Just from a movie standpoint, Rise of Skywalker is just objectively bad. Nobody wants to see a Rey movie. And it was a horrible concept to begin with. We already had an entire trilogy devoted to her, and at the cost of other characters they were trying to introduce too. All of those characters that could have had something, like Finn, who I think people like, they really pulled the rug out from under the actor himself, but also fans who were thinking he was going to be Luke's Padawan, a new Jedi. And there was some really intriguing stuff there. But no, they kind of pulled up the rug from everyone to just focus on Rey repeatedly throughout the entire trilogy, to where nothing flows right. None of the other characters are given their due when it comes to a satisfying character arc and journey. And this isn't fair to Daisy Ridley, I think, either, because they never knew what to do with her character. And I think John Boyega said, well, they knew what to do with Rey, they knew what to do with Kylo. I would actually disagree with that, because I don't think they knew what to do with anybody, because they didn't have a plan to begin with. They've said this. They were just making it up as they went. J.J. Abrams handed Rian Johnson the baton and just completely dropped all of the story threads that he introduced, and it just made it a mess of a trilogy. It is possibly the worst trilogy ever made, because there is no consistency. There's no satisfying arc, and you can tell they're just making it up as they go, and that they never had a plan from the outset of what to do with these main characters. And so in particular with Rey, they had no idea what her background was until just filming Rise of Skywalker. They still hadn't decided. Daisy Ridley came out and said right as they were filming, she didn't know who her character was, if she was Obi-Wan's descendant or what, or nobody. She didn't know, because they didn't know. And I think they also were actively rewriting and reshooting scenes on the production of Rise of Skywalker. They were actively in real time rewriting scenes and doing reshoots, because they just had not decided what to do. They couldn't decide whether Rey or Kylo should kiss at the end either. And unfortunately, they decided to go with it. It just speaks to that they do not have a plan at all. They love to make announcements. That's what they love to do. How about this? A novel idea. Have a concept first. Have a writer and director attached first, who at least have a strong story concept already done. And if they've had at least a working bullet points of a script done, and then announce it. Then you can announce it. It's so crazy. And I feel sorry for Daisy Ridley. She's like doing press right now. The same day this news was revealed, she's doing press for promoting Magpie, her newest film. She's doing press, and they're asking her about the Rey movie, of course. So literally the same day as all these promo spots, all this information about the Rey movie, and her giving little, she doesn't know. She just like, oh, I think we're going to have an update soon, is what she said on her, I think she was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. He asked her, what can you say about the new Rey movie? I think we'll have an update soon. And literally the same day as that interview dropped, this news came out that they had lost their screenwriter. It's sad. So still, they have no idea what to do with this character. It's just keeping on with the same old of running things under Disney Lucasfilm. They have no plan. They don't know what to do. They love to make announcements. They love to do that. But they actually don't know how to run things from the creative standpoint. It just speaks of pure, just corporatism and handling this IP. None of it feels like, from a creative standpoint, trying to create something good. Have a strong concept and story first. Make that your priority, and then you can announce it, and then you can celebrate. Then you'd have something to celebrate at Star Wars Celebration.